Vienna in the 19th century did not expand by choice. It expanded because its inherited form was collapsing under pressure. Inside the walls, space tightened, bodies multiplied, circulation failed, defense became congestion, power became delay. When demolition began, it was not a gesture, it was a correction. Stone fell, routes opened, boundaries became movement. From that decision, every transformation followed. Plans turned intention into structure. Construction translated structure into labor. Monuments fixed authority into enduring mass. As the Ringstraße emerged, social order shifted with it. Residences replaced fortresses. Hotels replaced palaces. Motion replaced enclosure. Yet, visibility created strain. Infrastructure carried weight. Governance demanded presence. These images track that sequence. Each transition is a consequence of the last. From planning to building. From building to lived experience. And from lived experience, thought begins, leading us toward the next scene, where private interiors start reshaping the public. Franz-Josefs-Kai reveals Vienna's operational core. Running along the Danube Canal, it connected transport, labor, and supply. This space lacked ornament. Its purpose was movement. Boats delivered goods, carts redistributed them. Workers sustained the city's rhythm. While the Ringstraße projected order, the quay ensured survival. Infrastructure absorbed the pressure generated by expansion. Urban modernization depended on these zones of continuous effort. Without them, monuments would remain symbolic shells. The canal linked inner districts to broader trade networks. Vienna functioned as a system, not a collection of facades. This image grounds the city's transformation in physical necessity. Power required support. Culture required circulation. As logistics stabilized the metropolis, governance moved to formalize control over this expanded urban machine. Political authority needed architectural expression equal to the scale of the city it now administered. The completed court opera marked a shift from effort to statement. Its facade presented confidence where uncertainty had existed. Situated prominently on the Ringstraße, the building integrated culture into daily circulation. Music became civic infrastructure. Attendance reinforced hierarchy through ritualized visibility. The opera did not stand apart from the city. It organized movement around it. Pedestrians, carriages, and gatherings converged at its threshold. Architectural ornamentation communicated permanence. Vienna declared itself a cultural capital equal to Europe's great cities. Inside, programming reflected state-supported excellence. Outside, the building shaped how power was encountered. Completion resolved earlier tensions by fixing ambition into stone. The city had proven it could build at scale. With culture secured as a stabilizing force, Vienna expanded outward. Attention shifted from monuments to the spaces connecting them, where tradition and modernity would meet along the boulevard itself. Schottenring represents the Ringstraße in full operation. Here, urban life accelerated. The Ringtheater signaled a shift toward mass cultural participation. Entertainment moved beyond court patronage into public consumption. Street traffic intensified. Schedules replaced ceremony. The city began to function by rhythm rather than ritual. Schottenring attracted clerks, professionals, and visitors. This was no longer a space defined by lineage. It was defined by access and movement. The boulevard organized visibility. People saw and were seen. Social position was expressed through presence rather than isolation. Architecture emphasized uniformity and continuity, reinforcing the idea of order through repetition. This image documents Vienna's transition into a metropolitan environment where culture, circulation, and commerce intersected continuously. As public life expanded outward along the Ringstraße, residential architecture adapted to serve a new elite, one shaped less by nobility and more by capital, proximity, and urban belonging. Burgring occupies the point where Vienna's imperial past meets its planned future. Here, the Ringstraße passes directly alongside the Hofburg, the seat of dynastic authority. This proximity was deliberate. Modern circulation did not replace imperial power, it framed it. Traffic flowed where walls once constrained access. Visibility replaced separation. The monarchy adapted by allowing itself to be seen rather than hidden. Burgring demonstrates Vienna's strategy of continuity through modification. Old authority remained intact, but its context changed. Power now operated within an open urban system. Pedestrians and carriages moved past symbols of rule as part of daily routine. Governance became embedded in movement. This space reveals how modernization in Vienna avoided rupture. The city advanced by layering new structures around inherited ones. As imperial presence adjusted to urban flow, the Ringstraße extended further outward, carrying modern life away from the court and into districts shaped increasingly by commerce, residence, and social display. Vienna entered the 19th century constrained by its own success. Population growth pressed against medieval walls designed for defense, not movement. Space tightened, air stagnated, administration slowed. In 1860, the imperial government approved the city expansion plan, initiating a controlled dismantling of Vienna's fortifications. This decision replaced military logic with urban circulation. Walls were no longer barriers, they became corridors. The Ringstraße was conceived as a structural spine rather than a decorative gesture. Government buildings, cultural institutions, and elite residences were deliberately positioned to shape authority through visibility. Urban order was mapped before it was built. This plan did not promise comfort, it promised manageability. By committing intention to paper, Vienna accepted that survival depended on redesign rather than preservation. From this abstract framework, the city's transformation had to become physical, demanding labor, materials, and permanent construction. The expansion plan remained theoretical until construction began. The court opera became one of its earliest and most demanding tests. Photographs from the 1860s reveal scaffolding, exposed stone, and concentrated labor. Vienna's modernization was not symbolic, it was physical and disruptive. Workers reshaped terrain, once guarded by walls. Materials arrived in volume. Schedules replaced tradition. The Opera House was intended to anchor the Ringstraße culturally, asserting stability through music and architecture rather than force. Yet its construction exposed tension, costs escalated, public criticism mounted, urban transformation required endurance. This phase shows Vienna committing fully to its new identity. Authority was no longer inherited through lineage alone. It was assembled through coordination and work. As the structure rose from the ground, the city moved closer to permanence. What began as planning now demanded completion, forcing Vienna to confront how finished monuments would define its public image. 6. Heinrichshof am Opernring, 1880, 150 words. The Heinrichshof embodied residential prestige within Vienna's modern framework. Located directly opposite the court opera, it translated cultural proximity into social distinction. These apartments were designed for visibility and representation. Large interiors, ornate facades, and service living reflected a new urban elite. Wealth no longer retreated behind palace walls. It positioned itself along the boulevard. The Heinrichshof illustrates how the Ringstraße reorganized hierarchy spatially. Status became locational. Address mattered as much as ancestry. Residents lived within the city's flow rather than apart from it. Daily life unfolded alongside traffic, culture, and public observation. This shift signaled Vienna's acceptance of bourgeois dominance within imperial structure. Power diversified without collapsing tradition. The building marks a transition from residence to exchange. Private space now interacted constantly with public life. As elite living integrated into circulation, Vienna extended this logic outward, adapting former palaces and central buildings to accommodate visitors, diplomacy, and international presence on an unprecedented scale. Hotel Imperial marked Vienna's transition from imperial capital to international city. Originally constructed as a private palace, it was repurposed to serve diplomacy, finance, and travel. This conversion reflected changing priorities. Prestige was no longer static, it circulated. Guests arrived from across Europe carrying capital, influence, and expectation. Vienna adjusted its urban core to accommodate them. Hospitality became infrastructure. The hotel preserved aristocratic scale while providing modern services. continuity masked adaptation. Imperial identity was maintained through function rather than exclusion. Here, private grandeur became public utility. Space once reserved for lineage now served movement and exchange. The Imperial illustrates how Vienna opened itself without surrendering authority. The city remained controlled, yet accessible. As international presence intensified, the system supporting daily operation gained importance. Behind diplomacy and ceremony, Vienna depended increasingly on logistics, labor, and circulation. Functions anchored not in palaces, but along its waterways and working corridors. The Austrian Parliament building stands as Vienna's political anchor within the Ringstraße system. Its classical design referenced ancient ideals while serving modern administration. Situated prominently, the structure made governance visible. Authority no longer operated behind walls. It occupied public space. The boulevard framed the building as part of daily movement. Citizens encountered power through proximity rather than ceremony. This architecture reflected compromise. Imperial rule remained intact, yet constitutional mechanisms gained form. Urban design mediated this balance. Visibility replaced isolation without dissolving hierarchy. The Parliament embodied Vienna's attempt to stabilize change through institution rather than force. Law, procedure, and administration were embedded into the city's core. Yet, political architecture alone could not absorb the pressures of modern urban life. Decision-making required spaces where ideas circulated informally. Beyond chambers and facades, Vienna's transformation extended inward into interiors where discussion, observation, and repetition shaped thought itself. Café Schwarzenberg represents Vienna's intellectual interior. Here, urban life slowed and concentrated. Unlike boulevards or institutions, the café functioned through repetition. Regular presence replaced ceremony. Newspapers circulated daily. Conversation unfolded without agenda. Observation became routine. These spaces extended the public sphere indoors. They allowed sustained interaction across professions and ranks. The café transformed time rather than space. Hours accumulated. Ideas matured gradually. This environment supported Vienna's cultural identity at the turn of the century. Writers, officials, and professionals shared proximity without formality. Cafés absorbed the consequences of urban transformation. They processed its pressures mentally rather than physically. What began with demolished walls concluded with open discussion. The city that reorganized itself to survive modern conditions learned, finally, to think within them. Here, Vienna's 19th century transformation completes its arc, not as romance, but as a functioning urban system, inhabited continuously by people, habits, and thought.